Canada is now a soccer country, Jimmy.
That is true.
We're fully on board. Congrats to our men's team.
That was unbelievable.
Weekend. Unbelievable is the right word. Very exciting time.
So it's how do we put this in perspective? So this will air after the Wednesday night game. We're taping this on Tuesday. There is a convoluted way they could actually clinch. It won't happen, but I think Mexico has to win. USA has to lose to Honduras.
Correct.
I think does US play Honduras?
Yes, that's correct.
Jamaica has to beat Costa Rica, Puff, or whoever they play. It's a combination of four things where two of them are likely,
playing Costa Rica.
Very unlikely. Yeah. So it likely won't happen. It's likely going to happen in the next window, which would be, I believe, March 24th in Costa Rica. I believe Jimmy might be there.
No way.
No way. Costa Rica?
Come on,
Jimmy. I think that you might need me down there.
Yeah.
I will try for that.
At that point, you're just hours away from Jurassic Park.
Exactly. Then we get tell them we need.
You gotta go.
You guys ever been to Costa Rica?
Oh yeah, I did my honeymoon there. It's awesome. Beautiful country.
I was there. I think in 2014. Unbelievable. So nice.
Yeah, really
so nice down there.
I've heard
the only bad thing is the roads are.
Roads are crap, and the bugs are 8 times the size of the.
Yeah,
North
they
American
can kill
bugs.
you. They can kill you. But
yeah,
beautiful country.
I think I told you the story of going on the yoga retreat with Brooksy. I know, again, Puppy knows this because it was in my first book, but Brooksy had a milestone birthday. I told her I'd take her anywhere she wanted to go. She chose a vegan yoga retreat in the jungles of Costa Rica. And we were in like a hut, basically. Does this story all sound familiar, Scott?
Is this where you're forced to manufacture your own cocaine at the end?
Yeah. That was it.
You told this one.
Yeah, that was it.
At gunpoint.
And then the 4 years in prison?
Yeah.
Oh, really? That was a.
By the way, it's a-hole if your wife spends her time in solitary and you're out in the field.
Anyway, the point was we would hear the bugs on the floor of our little hut in the jungle the first night. So and they sounded like puppy dogs. They were. That's what the sound was because they were that big. Oh. And so Brooksy slept on top with me in a completely non-sexual way for the entire night because she was terrified of even touching the mattress. Anyway, I think we talked about this numerous times. Yeah. The howler monkeys, the whole thing. But Costa Rica is beautiful and would be a wonderful place to clinch. And then hopefully again, then Puffy, maybe I can get you on board for Qatar, which everyone calls Qatar, but is Qatar. And we're going to have to settle that before the World Cup begins.
Tavares.
Qatar.
Yeah. I like Qatar better, but Qatar is what it's supposed to be.
Qatar sounds more foreign.
Yeah, like worldly.
Yeah.
It sounds quite frankly, it sounds more Middle Eastern, you know?
Yeah,
Qatar, you know. Qatar sounds like you know, it's a bar in Missouri, you know?
Yeah.
So a couple more things on footy. You're so right, Stoff. Like we are literally living in history of the greatest time in Canadian soccer. Oh. And, you know, hopefully 100 years from now, they'll still be good and we'll look back like this is for the women to win the gold medal at the Olympics and then the men to do what they've done in qualifying is just, and I know you two in particular are big soccer fans to know what has preceded this for the last 30 years, 40 years, 50, whatever history is it's unbelievable to watch. And I also found out recently that I've lived a lie for my entire life because I have been I think I've talked about it on the pod that growing up playing for the Gloucester Hornets, I played against Lyndon Hooper of the Nepean Hotspurs. And I think I've said on this pod, Lyndon went on to play for Canada in the World Cup the last time we're there. I have told this story 1,000 times in my life, right? Yeah. So I was going on some sort of footy podcast a few weeks ago. And I said, you know, I got to look up Lyndon Hooper and see where he is because I'll tell the story again. And I find I'm like, wait a second, this timeline's not working out. So I'm like, Lyndon, he never played in the World Cup. It was
Get out.
It was like he played in the qualifiers the next time around
For the 90?
4 years later, for 2 years later, but he never played in the World Cup. And I'm like, ooh, I've told that story a lot of times on radio, probably in one of my books. How proud I was of Lyndon Hooper. I remember vividly sitting in my basement watching Lyndon wear that flag on that opening game against France.
Oh my God! No.
You see, I like to cop clean when my stories aren't true.
Well, fair enough. Well, there was, I believe you guys would know. I mean, I just kind of looked it up here. I remember our former colleague Craig Forrest with Team Canada Gold Cup. I believe that was 2000. That's probably the biggest win. Yep. That's probably the biggest Canada win for men's soccer since then, right? Yeah. So I mean, we're talking a long time. Remember Bob Leonarduzzi and all that stuff, and it was kind of. Not that great for
it. For me, it's not even just the accomplishments; it's how good this team is, how much confidence they're playing with. This isn't a team that parks the bus and they're afraid to get scored on, and they try to score on a counter. They go out there, they get it. They're against very high caliber teams as well. Like I'm really excited to see them against the rest of the world because
they could do something, right? Like
100% they could.
100% they could.
100%.
I don't think they're obviously not gonna win the World Cup, but they could definitely
get out of their group with a decent group.
I think they could even win in the knockout stage. They could win the round,
depending on the matchup. Yes, because CONCACAF teams do get out, of groups, and they're the top right now.
Yeah.
I've talked about Alistair Johnson, who's the kid from my neighborhood who plays on the team, and it's so foreign to me that. He goes to my kid's public school, Devon's Drive, which is just down the street from here. It has like 100 kids in the school, tiny little school. And, his little brother Malcolm is Darian, sort of one of her best friends over at the house. And I coach him in touch football. And I hear, how's your brother doing, Alistair? Oh yeah, he's going to school in the States. He's doing well. I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm in my head, I'm thinking, okay, he's got a scholarship and he'll be back here running some academy or something in 5 years. And oh, he's got a crack at the national team. Oh, he's on the national team. Oh, he's starting on the national team. Oh, he's excellent on the national team. Oh, he's going to the World Cup. It's just, it's so mind-boggling. He was just before this stage, and I was walking the dog on the trail just up the street. Alistair goes running by in his Team Canada tracksuit. I'm like, hey, Alistair, what's going on, buddy? Good luck. It's just, it's such an amazing story. I just can't believe that these guys are going to the World Cup. And I know it's not official yet, but let's face it, it's happening. And it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be so much fun.
We'll have to do betsafe.net. We'll have to talk to them, and we'll have to do a whole World Cup special next fall.
Well, what's going to be interesting is Toronto is definitely a city that loves the World Cup, and everyone finds out their where their family name goes back, and they pick a team, and they all get behind it in the neighborhoods throughout the city. So I'm going to be very interested to see how that plays out with Canada finally, because the excuse has always been, well, Canada sucks, they're never in it, I have to choose someone. Well, now Canada's in it, and I hope that the whole city and the whole country gets behind these guys because they're really fun to watch.
Well, the funny thing for me this past year was with Euro going on, obviously the pockets of Italian fans across the country, like Market Lane here, for example, up in Woodbridge, people celebrating on that day. Everyone's out with their Italian flags. And literally as that game finished and Italy won the Euro Cup, Canada was playing its first game in the Gold Cup.
Okay.
And you have all these soccer fans celebrating Italy, but not a single person, even as far as last year, knows that Canada's playing in a major tournament at that point.
Yeah.
So, hopefully that's going to change. But I also think of like the Vince Carter effect, for example, on Canadian kids. And you see how much Canadian basketball has risen here, how many more players are in the NBA. Both on the women's and men's side here, I think with these past accomplishments, that's definitely going to happen going forward. So
and MLS has played a huge part. So you even look at like Ray Ferraro's kids. Like, I mean, dad played a long time in the NHL. Mom's a Hall of Famer. And both his kids are soccer players, and they're good soccer players. And 20 years ago, they're
second generation kids. He's got the two. Like,
but you look at the older boys. They're hockey players. And like the younger kids, they're soccer players, and that wouldn't have happened 20 years ago.
No,
You know?
no,
So
and
true,
you're
yeah.
absolutely right, Stoff, about the influence of the MLS in particular. I mean, that was one of the conditions of the '94 World Cup was that they started a league, started MLS. So
Yeah.
it's great, and it's great to see that. You know, I will say that Jermaine Franklin's nephew, Kobe Franklin, is playing for Canada. I'm not sure if he's on the national team, but he's definitely high up. He's certainly on the TFC squad, the under squad. So
Oh, is
he's
he
coming
on
up too.
TFC too?
Yeah.
Nice.
He's on TFC. Not, I guess there's a junior squad or something like that.
Academy teams.
Academy.
Yeah. He's on that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Great.
Kobe
Well,
Franklin,
and I'll
yeah.
tell you, look for so we like to have report things first on the Rubber Moose podcast. So look for Malcolm Johnson, Alice's younger brother, probably 3 years away from competing for the national team. But
Ooh, that's good timing because we're gonna have the World Cup
Here.
yeah, I mean that might be a tough squad to make by then. But yeah, it's so fun. And to your point, I think that if the Italians will have their Italian if they make it. By the way, right?
Yeah, they're not in yet.
Well,
No.
that's a very tough route. Like either them or Portugal are not going to make it. Both
Which is
can't make
crazy.
it, and that's
Crazy that
crazy.
Canada is going to be in the World Cup and Portugal or Italy is going to be out. But I think all those communities will wave their own flag when their team's playing and will wear the Canadian flag when
Of
their
course,
team's
and
playing.
that's how it should be. We're a multicultural.
And if they play each other,
Sure.
that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah, that's the thing. What we play.
I've
Yeah,
always
but you
wondered that about myself. For example, like if Poland faces Canada, like in a way, it's a win-win because I'm not going to root against either team. But
No.
You got to be rooting for Canada.
But who are you going to root for?
so my thing as a kid, when I asked myself this, I would always say whatever the sport was, I would go with the underdog. So if it was in hockey, I would definitely root for Poland because they were not expected to win.
Yeah.
And so in previous years, that would definitely be Canada on the soccer side.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly think this would be a lot more of an even though Poland's ranked much higher, I guess, in the rankings. I think this would be a much closer match now. And in all honesty, I don't know. In some ways, I've definitely watched the Polish team go further, so I have an emotional attachment there.
Yeah.
Rooting for them in major tournaments, and but at the same time, I've been watching Canadian soccer ever since I got here, and been a huge fan. It's just they haven't gotten this far, so. It's a really tough one. And I think in the end, I'd just be happy with whoever goes on. And hopefully if they face each other, it's in a final.
I agree with that stuff. For me, if it was Canada versus Guyana, for example, I mean, I was born here, but if it was Canada versus Guyana in soccer, Canada scores, I'd laugh, then I'd cry. Guyana scores, I'd laugh, then I'd cry. You know what I mean? It'd be back and forth.
Yeah.
Be torn
I don't
between
have Scottish English. I have no affiliation in my mind with England I was cheering for England in, was it Euro? What's the
Euro.
Yeah.
So your days at Clemson, you don't have any attachment to the American team?
I am pure red and white, and maybe I'm wrong for that.
it.
But I'm like third generation in Canada, so I have no ties to Scotland or England. I've never really cheered for them for anything. So on that World Gold Cup, by the way, in 2000, I was hosting NBA then. And it happened for one weekend that Steve Nash was our analyst.
I remember
when the Gold Cup was on, and he was his. Is it possible his brother was playing?
His brother, I think, would have been on that team. Yeah,
I believe his brother was on the team, and Steve was totally invested in, loved soccer. And the game was on. Canada was playing. I don't know, maybe the semifinals, the quarters. I can't remember, at the exact same time that our NBA game was on. And I can tell you, Steve Nash did not watch a second of the NBA game that we were broadcasting. And yet, when he came on at halftime and at postgame, he was money. That's when I knew this guy was, I knew this guy was a special player already. He was playing for the Mavs at the time. And periphery vision, he'd look over but his analysis was amazing. He would make a great analyst if he went on TNT or whatever. But he did not watch a second of the game. He was just watching soccer the entire time.
The best part is that would have been a playoff game.
Oh yeah. Playoff.
Yes. That's why A, he's in the studio, and B, it's obviously during the time of the Gold Cup, so it's in June. So that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Not only that, but he brought in 3 of his buddies and a 2-4. And his buddy sat in the green room drinking like Molson Canadian the entire game.
I came to TSN 10 years too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
You guys
different
had
back
it.
then.
You guys had
Di-
it.
different, di-
That's a whole
different
other
rules back
conversation.
then, buddy.
That's a whole other conversation. The glory days,
Well,
baby.
so anyway, best of luck to our boys. Been unbelievable to watch, and to the ladies as well. I think the last year in Canadian soccer has been one of the coolest things to happen in Canadian sport in a really long time.